So Jim, the practices that are doing things right, what are they doing? Can you give any case examples of best practice organizations or the tactics that they've employed?
I would say that the best practice that I'm aware of is those practices that are taking action sooner rather than later. So I would encourage practices to evaluate their strategy first. What are they trying to achieve? And it comes down to really practice the stage their practice is in at that given stage of the life cycle. Are they looking to transition a practice to another set of practitioners or partners? Are they looking to merge with another practice or multiple practices? You know, it really is going to differ. So there is no tried and true marketing mix and best practice for how to grow your practice through marketing. I will say that there is one constant, and that, as I said earlier, is those that are taking action, and not just action one time, but it's a continual process. Marketing is a journey, it's not a destination, and so it's something that has to be monitored, measured, and really methodically attacked over time. I relate it to something that hopefully the audience can relate to, and that is patient therapy, right? When physicians think about therapy, they think about adherence and persistence, and there's a reason for that. You know, when a patient adheres and is persistent to a drug regimen, the outcomes are better, right? And they get better results. Well, the same holds true for marketing, right? If you stay true to your course and your game plan, the results will come. But if you think you're going to spend $1 today and get 10 tomorrow, then I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
Let's talk a bit more about social media. Given its relatively low cost compared to print, TV, and radio advertising, what can providers do to gain traction in this area? How do they maintain momentum and authenticity with how they approach popular social media channels like Facebook?
You know, Gina, I kind of have a grin on my face, and the main reason why is social media is all the buzz. And I hate to say it, but right now I think social media is just that. It is a buzz. I relate it to a hamster running on a hamster wheel. A lot of people are jumping in and they're spending a significant amount of time and energy, but they haven't done the upfront thinking relative to what am I intending to do with this new media platform. And so, you know, I am not discounting the power of social media. We'll talk about it a little bit more because it is actually incredibly powerful if it's used right. But you shouldn't just jump in. And I think you've got to know the same thing about using social media you do about any other marketing medium. That is, who are you trying to reach and what are you trying to accomplish? And more importantly, you better be dang sure that what you're saying is adding value to the person on the other end, or you're really just wasting your time. So again, social media is extremely powerful. It is a medium by which consumers are taking control. They're taking control of your message, and they're really driving the process of engagement. So the question I would ask those watching is, are you going to watch the conversation go on by? Are you going to get started and engage in it? But don't do it just because everyone else is. Make sure you've got a strategic intent as to what you're trying to accomplish with that. The other myth I'd like to kind of break down is that social media is cheap or inexpensive. And while it may not require a huge outlay of upfront cash, it does require a consistent deployment of time, talent, and energy. So don't think that it's cheap relative to the investment you're going to make, because to do it right, you have to be dedicated to creating a value-added content stream. That is content that is insightful, educational, and really engaging with respect to the community you're trying to reach. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a loyal community that will follow you and then pass on the word.
To what extent do changing patient expectations and increasing levels of consumerism in healthcare impact all of this? How much more sophisticated might a practice need to be in its approach to marketing compared to 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think we just touched on that a little bit, Gina. I mean, consumers are having conversations right now about your brand, about your practice, about the last patient experience that took place in your office. And so you've got to be more proactive with respect to auditing these communication channels and being on top of them. And we talk a lot about, in this medical field, the ability to convey thought leadership. And that, I think, is a great platform for social media. That is a channel by which you can really funnel your opinions. And I have not met many medical professionals that don't have a strong opinion when it comes to the best way to treat patients, the best way to achieve long-term successful health outcomes. So Relative to consumer engagement, the game has changed, make no doubt about it, and it's a question of how can you dedicate the time and resources to be an active participant and an ongoing active participant in that conversation. There's LinkedIn, there is Facebook, there's even Google from that perspective is adding some social components to its platform. So you know, you've got to, and I hate to again sound like I'm repeating myself, but it's easy to jump in. It's not easy to define up front what you're trying to accomplish before you do so.
How do practices balance the promotional aspect of their web marketing with the educational aspect, given how much patients are going to the web to find out health information?
Again, I think it goes back to thought leadership. We are in a self-service, consumer-driven world. The last thing a patient or a consumer wants to do is pick up the phone right now and talk to someone before they're ready. So as a medical professional, you have the opportunity to still engage and convey your opinions and thoughts relative to why you are the best alternative for their treatment by producing thought leadership content on the web. We've got several practices I think that are doing a great job at that, and they're producing a consistent stream of educational content. Webinars where they've got their physicians and their practice administrators talking about things that are important to patients on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. These are vehicles that consumers can, you know, self-absorb, so to speak. And once they're convinced you are talking the right talk and are relevant and appealing to them, they'll pick up the phone and they'll be in your office. And it's those practices that are using webcasts, podcasts, clinical papers, things of that nature to educate their consumers and their patients well before they walk in the front door.
Jim, this has been great insight. Thank you for taking the time to share your expertise.
Thanks for having me, Gina. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon with another all-new webisode. Until then, if it's on your mind, it's in the know.